We've got a big update on Matthew Stafford's back situation, what the Rams have done to treat it, and when they can expect him back. Also, the first preseason depth chart has been revealed. We got big takeaways from that. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Free and available wherever your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor. Join the party, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And for our everyday viewers, our longtime subscribers, if you want to support this show every day, hit the like button, drop a comment. Podcast listeners, write us a review. We'll read on the show. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've covered LA sports for over a decade. 24/7 Sports, Bleacher Report, SI, Dodgers Nation. As always, I'm joined by the Rams pre-half and post-game show host for the Rams flagship radio station, ESPN 710 LA. He's entering his 11th season covering your Los Angeles Rams, the people's champ, Mr. Travis Rogers. You can follow him on X at Travis Rogers. And on today's episode, we've got the first depth chart for the Rams preseason. We've got big takeaways from that, 8 to be exact. We're talking about the Rams-Cowboys joint practice sessions as well, but we have got to start with Matthew Stafford's back. So it always seems like this, Travis, where there's some big storyline revolving around Matthew Stafford, whether it be the offseason, is he going to go to the Raiders, are they going to trade him, what's going on with him, he's going to retire, but it's dominating again leading into this season. And the latest on Matthew Stafford, Ian Rappaport reported that he did receive a epidural to deal with a aggravated disc. So there's been kind of, I don't want to say conflicting reports, but some insiders are saying it's maintenance. Some are trying to suggest that it's a little more serious. I think Sean McVay, if you hear him talk about it, he seems like it's trending in the right direction, that he should be good to go to return to practice at some point this week, hopefully. But yeah, I think we're clearly past the, I just have a sore back versus, we're treating it with something that, I mean, no one wants to have an epidural if you don't have to. And he clearly felt the need to get one because he was suffering in some pain.
Yeah, look, anybody that's had a bad back, you have, I have, Matthew Stafford does. And it's always one of those, okay, where are we in the progression of this? Is this just one of those, I slept kind of funny, it's going to go away? Or is this, hey, I did something and it's not going away and it's getting worse and now I need treatment and now I need an injection, now I need surgery? And I mean, the second I heard epidural, my level of concern went from, I think he's going to be all right, to, hey, this could actually be a thing that prevents them from being at their absolute best. This could be the thing that means Jimmy Garoppolo is your starting quarterback against the Houston Texans on September 7th. And I'm not saying that's the end of the world. I don't think it is. But if he has if he's unable to practice, if he's unable to get ready for the start of the season, I know he's been around the block a million times. I know he's Matthew Stafford and what that means and everything that comes along with it. But there's going to be some on-ramping to get back to NFL football. He's going to have to practice and prepare at some point, and that we haven't gotten started that at all is concerning. It's not a 10 out of 10, but you know, like to go back to where this all started a couple of weeks ago, DMAC, which was, it's not a big deal. I always say, well, if it's not a big deal, then he'd be practicing. So it's always something of a deal that if it's not a big deal and it's a 0, he'd be out there. Well, we started it wherever it is above 0 to where we are now, which is injections and trending in the right direction. I mean, I don't know what any of these things officially mean other than it seems like we're a long way away from him playing football.
Exactly. I think, too, for me, it's like the best case scenario now, it just feels like, is that he comes back and he plays, but then it's kind of always on your mind as far as, is this about just managing it, re-injuring it? I mean, as you pointed out, I've had an epidural in my back, too, and it was like, all right, cool, this feels good for like 24 hours. And then you're like, right back to where you were before that. So I kind of think it depends on the severity. Of course, I'm not an NFL quarterback that's been banged around for almost 20 years, right? Or especially back to his college days. So I think that a lot of this is his pain tolerance too. And just, I mean, I don't think there's a situation where you're going to adjust their offense or anything like that.
No, I don't either. But I want to go back to the pain tolerance thing you said. That, look, has anybody for 1 second ever thought that Matthew Stafford is anything other than tough as you know what? No, he's a genuine, bona fide NFL, old school, tough quarterback. Stand there, take one on the chin to throw the ball down the field, pop back up, run down there, pump his fist, let's go. He's tough. Like this is a tough, grizzled NFL player. And if he's not going, there's something. I get it. It's the preseason and all that, but you would like to see him out there throwing. You'd like to see him out there participating in the joint practices and the drills. And this is not that guy's always got a little something. You know, look, I'll do what you and I like to do on Locked On Rams. Talk about the Dodgers for half a second. This isn't Tyler Glasnow. Okay, this isn't a guy that's constantly dealing with something. This isn't a guy that, the second there's a bump or a bruise, he's gone for 2 months. That's not what this is. This is Matthew Stafford. Dude, that great video of him when I believe he was a rookie in Detroit and he gets his shoulder separated and he refuses to come out of the game. This is the sort of guy we're talking about, and that he's not playing and he's not participating. Yeah, I mean, you have my full attention, Rams. You have my full attention of starting the season with Jimmy Garoppolo going from it's not going to happen to, hey, get ready for that to maybe happen.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely, I think you're at the point where it's, okay, you like what Matthew Stafford what Sean McVay is saying about Matthew Stafford, and that he's making good progress and that he's been able to increase some things behind the scenes. And also Mike Florio, he reported that Matthew Stafford is on track to resume working out this week and is expected to do some on-field work in the coming days. So I just want to point out there are positive reports, right? And I've seen people out there suggest that, maybe this is the Rams doing this to send a smoke screen so the Texans have to prepare for Jimmy Garoppolo too. That's not what this is at all.
No. That's wrong. I don't know how to say it other than that's not right. That if he were able to prepare and practice, he would be preparing and practicing. And this is not gamesmanship. This is not anything other than a 37-year-old quarterback who has played, like you said, nearly 20 years in this league, and he's not physically ready to go out there and do his thing yet. No, I have heard from others that this is a real thing. This is not put it this way. We can kind of leave it at this, D-Mac, that not one person who I trust about this has come to me and said, dude, this is nothing. Nobody has said that. It's always, it's not that bad, or it's something to keep your eye on, or man, you might want to start. It's never been, oh, dude, this is nothing. He's going to hit the ground running. It's hopefully he's ready to go when it's time to go. There is not terror, but there's not this unbridled enthusiasm that he's going to be ready to go.
Yeah, for sure. And I was just about to say, what are the birdies telling T-Raj right now? You know what I mean? About this. And I was listening to Big Wit, Andrew Whitworth, on Rich Eisen's show, and he was asked about it, and he said that, he's frustrated. So that was the first thing he said. Yeah, he's frustrated. It kind of made me think of just the idea of back injuries, right? If your ankle hurts, like, all right, I'm going to limp around a little bit, and then I kind of can muscle through that. Same things with some other injuries. But when your back is hurt, it's like, it literally is frustrating. He's like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to take some painkillers, and in the morning I'll feel a little better. And you get up, you're like, it's not that much better. You know,
right.
It's like, and for a guy that's competing against the best athletes in the world, right, trying to make these massive plays, it makes you wonder. But Whitworth would also say, he said, but the dude he's trying to be the best, not to show that to his teammates that he's frustrated, and to be the leader he is all the time. So, I mean, is he trying to be this like, okay, guys, I'm fine, but I'm not type of thing? Kind of makes you wonder how much he is playing through. Because as you point out, there is no one tougher than Matthew Stafford. This is a guy that you would have to get him in a body bag to basically get him off the field, right? So that's the thing, too, is you want to save these guys from himself. And I wonder just kind of what those conversations are like right now. Matthew Stafford, I'm good. This is just another thing I've been dealing with throughout my career. And then, this Rams team, we brought you back. We got this big year plan for us. I mean, just kind of what is the reality of the situation? Just how much of a risk is it to have him going right when the season begins?
Well, that's it, right? I mean, like, not to repeat myself, but you've had a bad back. I've had a bad back. And it's one of those things like even when you start to make a little bit of progress and you start to feel like, okay, I'm 10% better than I was a day ago, 15% better than I was a day ago. And then all of a sudden you turn around and take a sip of coffee and it's like someone stabbed you in the back. It's like, it's just, there is no like this line that just, okay, we'll do this. It's one step forward, 10 steps back. And that's just living as a 50-something-year-old guy who sits and talks on the radio all day. I can't imagine what it's like to be an NFL quarterback, to have to run, to have to move, to have to explode quickly, avoid rush, and do all these things. Never mind a 300-pound guy maybe landing on you. That bad back is always incredibly scary, and that he's not practicing is real. It is a real thing that I think is worthy of concern.
Yeah, just the thing I keep reminding myself is that everyone who clearly is in the know about this still believes he's going to be ready to go in week 1. With said, obviously there's concern, but I don't think there's concern. But I don't think there's concern. He said concern like 14 times in the sentence here. Yeah. I don't think there's concern on whether Matthew Stafford will be out there week 1 playing quarterback for the Rams. So clearly there's going to be more situation monitoring here about this. One of my favorite things to do is just monitor situations. We're going to be monitoring this one hardcore, right?
I love to monitor a good situation. It's one of my hobbies.
No, it's definitely it's like all I got these days. It's just situation monitoring 24/7. This is right at the top of my monitored situations at the moment. Yeah. But coming up next, the Rams released their first preseason depth chart. And we got our big takeaways. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball, me, D-Mac, love ourselves some baseball, or golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, big signing here in town in Los Angeles, FanDuel, of course, is the best way to make every game even more exciting. We are always watching these games. We always have that TV on. We're following along. So why not make it a little bit more thrilling? And with FanDuel, you can, because you can get on the game while your friends are doing whatever it is they're doing, which is not playing FanDuel, which they should be doing too, right? FanDuel is awesome because it lets you track your favorite matchups. The app is always freshened up. There are new daily promotions, always a lot of fun ways to bet. Super easy to use. They're fast to pay. That's super important, and makes even regular season games feel like something that you can't not miss. We're talking same game parlays, so you can watch that bet ride deep into the 9th inning. FanDuel makes it feel like we're all a part of the action. And if you're new to FanDuel, awesome. New customers, you can bet just $5 and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So open up that FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started.
And we're off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also want to send a special shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Cannot thank you enough. Got a lot of new viewers, a lot of new listeners lately, and now's the time to join that Everyday Listeners Club. It's 100% free. All you do is watch or listen to every single episode of Locked On Rams, and then you won't miss a thing about your favorite football team. So yeah, you mentioned baseball. Definitely, love me some baseball. It's like kind of asking like, okay, who's your favorite kid, right? You love all these sports and stuff. But right. I will say it's like yesterday, for no reason was off day. I randomly watched Super Bowl 23, Bengals 49ers, and also randomly watched USC Notre Dame from was it 06, right? No, 05.
The Tush Push?
04. Of the Bush Push, yeah. Now, see, like football's rewatchability, though. Like, obviously, I watch a classic Dodger game, but football's rewatchability is it's just top tier. You know what I mean?
Well, it's because there's so much stuff that leads up to the stuff that you forget about it. Like a baseball game, whatever. We know the beats. We know when the runs are coming. And in a football game, unless it's something like the Bush Push, you lose track of the details. How about that audible on 4th down when they were deep in Notre Dame, their own end with SC, and Leinart makes the audible? Yeah, there's nothing like watching that.
So that play, it's like that you're talking about the Dwayne Jarrett.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally 4th and 9 there with 1:32 left to play. First of all, number one takeaway from this is there's got to be regulation grass. Did you they do? I think Notre Dame does field turf now. That grass, they need they need to give the receivers machetes like cut their way through that. It was like 2 feet tall grass trying to work their way through it. But yeah, that was a dime by liner to Jarrett there. And then you had Brady Quinn and Jeff Samardzija the previous possession. It was just a crazy game. But yeah, I don't know. Trying to, football season's like almost here. And so like got to catch up. But
absolutely,
the Rams did release their first depth chart for the preseason. And we got some takeaways. I think the most interesting one we'll start with right off the bat is the cornerback situation. And it appears that Ahkello Witherspoon and Kobe Durant will be battling for that starting cornerback spot there on the outside. Darius Williams is listed as one of the starting quarterbacks, but the other one has co-starters. So you got Witherspoon and Durant on the other side. Quint Lake, he's your safety right next to Cameron Curl. Emmanuel Forbes Jr., we talked a lot about him. He dealt with a hamstring injury early on, did add some weight, has turned some heads during training camp. He's the number 4 cornerback behind Williams, Witherspoon, and Durant. So he hasn't made that leap like we hope to. Obviously, it's injury, and we'll see if he gets his opportunity down the line. Darion Kendrick, who's back, he's the 5th cornerback on the depth chart. So something to watch.
It is something to watch, and I think it's interesting when you got the Durant Witherspoon, competition. Is I think it kind of boils down to this. D-Mac, tell me if you agree. Are you looking for a little steadier, a little bit more predictable in what you're getting? I think that's what you get from Witherspoon, that you're not going to get a ton of, huge plays from him. You might get 1 or 2 here or there. And then there's Durant, which is he's probably more likely to make a pop play, but he's also probably a little bit more likely to make a mistake that is avoidable. So I think that comes down to what Chris Shula and Sean McVay are looking for. I'm sure they'd like to see Ahkello be a little bit more explosive, and you'd like Durant to be a little bit more consistent and hopefully get the combination of the best of both worlds. And they're different sorts of players. Neither one of these guys are, great NFL players, but they're both pretty good NFL players. So whoever ends up winning the job, that's good news. And you'll have some depth at that position along the way. And maybe somebody moves into the slot in certain situations when you get into nickel and dime sort of coverages along the way. But I do like that matchup because I think whichever way it goes, you're in a pretty good spot. It'd be great to have a team full of Jalen Ramseys and Patrick Surtains, but this is what you got, and you're going to have to make the best of it.
Yeah, I think the thing about Witherspoon too is it's just he has a lot of variance in his game, right? Yeah. I mean, we see like middle of the season, it's like, oh, where's he at? But in the start of the season, he'll make some splash plays, and then I think for me, it's how he looked towards the end of the season into the playoffs that makes him so intriguing. I mean, he was just big down the stretch. I mean, you saw the work he did against Jordan Addison. I mean, he gave up just like 8 yards to him in coverage, and he's just a really important player just because he doesn't have great speed or anything like that, but he just does a really good job staying in front of guys. He can break up passes. He can play guys deep. He uses his body really, really well. Doesn't have this crazy big time ceiling though. So I think for the Rams, it's kind of like, okay, like with Durant, it's someone where you feel like, okay, if he can actually reach his full potential and he can flip that switch and everything clicks in this last year of his rookie deal, then this is a guy that we just talked about the Kyren Williams extension yesterday. I mean, who knows? You could be a part of your future for longer. So you get this kind of the developmental aspect of it and giving him those opportunities. But like, I don't think this is a team that's going to just rely on their corners as elite corners. You just kind of want to be serviceable to above average, kind of, I think, is their ceiling. But I mean, there is talent there. It's just about who's going to just take this opportunity and run with it.
I think with Witherspoon as well, he always seems to be on the field, right? That wherever he goes, it seems like he ends up. They sometimes he's brought, like, think about last year. They didn't bring him in until later into the season, and because they had a need and he was unsigned, and you brought him back, and it was more like, let's just see what we have. He ends up playing a bunch of games for the Rams and playing in some pretty big games. You were talking about watching some old games. Well, one of those games to go back and watch might be that game against Arizona towards the end of the season, where Witherspoon kind of won that game on the defensive side, kind of bailed the Rams out towards the end. I thought he was really good. he just is one of those guys that always seems to be on the field in big moments. And there's something to be said for that, of guys that you trust, guys that are going to, at least give you some base level of performance, even if it's not a great performance. I know what I'm going to get when I put you out there. I think that's what Witherspoon brings. Not, like you said, not that it's, the greatest thing we've ever seen, but just give me the same thing day after day, or at least attempt to. I think that might be the differentiation point.
Yeah, it kind of really just kind of fits with the player he is, right? For him, it's like the reliability that he brings. I mean, his first year, a couple years ago, he started every single game. Then they bring him back, and they keep signing him on these one-year deals, and they're doing it for a reason. I think they like his length. I think they like the fact that his floor is something where it's okay. It's not like a young player out there that's going to make a ton of mistakes, right? They kind of know what they're getting with him. But it's just kind of funny because they kind of have the same thing with Durant too. He's just a younger player, right? But he's been in this system for a long time, so he's familiar as well. So, like, I mean, sure, they're going to work guys in and out. I will say, I mean, if you're going to make the case for Ahkello Witherspoon, go watch the game against the Vikings in their first playoff game this year, because he did a really good job against Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. I mean, he was just really great that game. So it's like, man, why can't you bottle this up, do this every single game? But that's kind of that's the case for a lot of players in this league.
Yeah, you're right about that for sure. That is kind of that's what makes stars is that there isn't a ton of fluctuation. They just kind of sit at that super high level. Anybody in the NFL is capable of making big plays. That's why you're in the NFL to begin with. But, to go back to that Minnesota game that you're talking about with Addison and Jefferson, well, what was the big takeaway? Both times they played against the Vikings, they absolutely murdered Kirk Cousins, right? They had him under an incredible amount of pressure. And I think that's what's going to really buttress the Rams back end, is just that they're going to get pressure on the quarterback from Verse and from Kobe Turner, Kobe Turner, Byron Young, Braden Fisk. Like, they're going to really rely on those guys to put pressure on the quarterback, which means I don't have to cover for 5 or 6 seconds. I got to cover for 2 or 3. That's everything. If they get to the quarterback, they can have some, inconsistencies in the back end that maybe won't be exploited the way they would if they don't have a pass rush.
That's the big thing. They're going to rely on that. That's going to be their strength. And depending on how well those guys play, if they continue to take leaps, because they're still young players, they can get even better. They can make life easier for everyone. So 100% totally agree that a pass rush that they could possibly have can raise the grade for their secondary too. And this defense as a whole, with Chris Shula, who looks like one of the best defensive coordinators in the league already, they can do enough to make sure that this team is competing for the division and the Super Bowl. I mean, that's kind of their ceiling for sure. So coming up, though, we got more takeaways from this depth chart. We've got a wide receiver that looks like he's pre-locked into the 3 spot. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
This episode of Locked On Rams is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. It is the best time of the year. NFL kickoff, we are really close, and that means that fantasy football season is back in full swing. And this year, Yahoo Fantasy's turning things up with a fantasy football experience like none before, right? This year, me, Locked On Rams, we are playing Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or you are a graybeard like myself making your 1 millionth league, right? I've used Yahoo Fantasy for years now, and the updates they're rolling out this month are absolutely wild. So whether you're all in on something new, which is always fun, or you like sticking to head-to-head leagues and jumping into public leagues, Yahoo has you covered. And to celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days throughout August. And to kick it off, they just dropped Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues, which is a killer way to play fantasy football on Yahoo, where the lowest scoring team, they get eliminated each week until there's one team left standing. And with the season right around the corner, now's the time to get your league together and give this new mode a try. And if you're more into the classics, you can still play head-to-head in private leagues or join that public league. So stay tuned for more announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football right now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL.
Welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. By the way, those guillotine leagues seem pretty wild. Like, if you're going to pay for that league and you get eliminated like week 2, you know what I mean?
Just don't get eliminated. Just don't put your head in the guillotine.
It's the Squid Game of fantasy football leagues, right? I mean, I don't know about that one. I'm in on it, though. I kind of want to like give that one a shot, man. I've been playing fantasy football like forever. But let's get back into this one. Some of these depth chart takeaways. So next one, Tutu Atwell is still the Rams' third wide receiver. Jordan Whittington and Kanata Mumfield have impressed early on. We know that Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, they're right at the top there. Xavier Smith, though, he's listed as Tutu Atwell's backup. And then you got Whitfield, Mumfield, guys like Whittington, Mumfield in that mix as well. So clearly, Tutu Atwell, he has the edge right now, and that's most likely going to be his spot to start the season. But some interesting names there.
Yes, I think that the position, though, I should say the competition for that third wide receiver, and competition might be the wrong word because I agree with you, D-Mac. I think Tutu Atwell is going to get the opportunity to show that that's his spot, to show that he can contribute to the offense in a meaningful way. But it's not like he has a lock on it the way that Nacua and Adams do. Right. Like he does not have that sort of standing in the offense. And I have heard the Tutu Atwell song for many years about how this is going to be different this time around. And look, I hope that it is. I hope that he comes in there and becomes the threat that I've been told he's going to be for many, many seasons. But everybody behind him on that depth chart should be ready to step in because there will be opportunities. I'm a firm believer that after a handful of years in the league, D-Mac, that you've kind of let us know what you are, right? And especially if you are a player that's in Los Angeles playing for Sean McVay with Matthew Stafford as your quarterback. If it hasn't, we talked about it yesterday, so you got to be an everydayer. The great wide receiver seasons in league history have all coincided with Matthew Stafford being the trigger guy in this, whether it's Calvin Johnson, whether it's Puka Nacua, whether it's Cooper Kupp, that the consistent factor there is Stafford. Atwell hasn't been able to do it with Matthew Stafford, with Sean McVay. I don't think it's a Sean McVay thing. I don't think it's a Stafford thing. I think it's an Atwell thing. So those guys on that depth chart behind him, they will get opportunities. And if they can go in there and make an impact in a way that Atwell can't, then that'll be their job before too long because they re-signed him for a one-year deal. They're not committed super long time. They don't have to make this work. And I think that's a really interesting competition in camp right now.
Tutu Atwell, truthers rise. This is going to be the year. No, we'll see. I mean, I think that if I'm going to make the case for Tutu, it's the fact that, hey, they brought him back on a $10 million deal. Sean McVay has mentioned multiple times that he takes responsibility for not giving him more opportunities. So we'll see if that's the case this year. They're going to feature him more. He has been productive when guys have been out, whether it be Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua. He has stepped up in those situations. But yeah, you definitely want to see more consistency out of him. There is some kind of Gavin Lux to him. You know what I mean? Like they took him high and they want to prove to themselves that
they want to be right.
It worked out. There's a feather in their cap, but we'll see. Last one here.
Just real quick, Doug, I want to kind of quote myself here, and I understand what Sean McVay, as far as NFL coaches go, is actually kind of honest. Like when he says something, I think you should actually listen to it. You know, sometimes he doesn't say much, but what he does say, I think, is revelatory. But I'm going to quote myself. Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. And what they've done is they haven't really used Tutu Atwell all that much. And I don't know when Devontae Adams is coming into the building how this is a huge opportunity for Atwell. Let's see. I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong about this, but we're in what is this, year 4 or 5 of the Atwell experience, and it just hasn't happened yet.
That's just the truth, right? And we'll see if he can make an opportunity. By the way, quoting yourself is a nice flex for sure.
Thank you.
Take that Obama meme. Have you seen the one where he's putting the Presidential Medal of Freedom on himself? You know what I mean? It's like, I love that. But last one here before we get out of here. Terrence Ferguson listed as the number 4 tight end. It was the Rams' top pick. It was a guy they take in the second round. They reportedly had a first-round grade on him, really liked him. And you've got Tyler Higbee. He's the starter. Colby Parkinson is right behind him. Davis Allen is 3, and Ferguson listed at 4. I wouldn't make too much out of this because, 1, he's injured. He's been dealing with a groin injury. 2, he's a rookie. So this just makes sense for this part of the season, right? Higbee is the veteran. Colby Parkinson is the guy you paid last year. Davis Allen has been in the system. I still think that by mid-season, Ferguson is going to have a pretty advanced role as a flex tight end kind of stretch. And I think they really, really are just champing at the bit to have some packages to see what an athletic playmaking tight end can look like in this offense. So a lot of it's predicated on the health of their quarterback, but I do see Ferguson having a pretty advanced role of this team throughout the season.
I hope so. I mean, look, Higbee is going to get the lion's share of the snaps, assuming that he's healthy. He's been around a long time. He understands the system. One of the things that I've come to understand with the Sean McVay offense is that the tight end position, other than the quarterback, it might be the most complex position on the field, and it's going to take you a minute to kind of understand your role there. So Higbee has a huge advantage in that regard. We saw Parkinson last year, again, didn't work. And that doesn't mean it can't work, but it means it didn't work. And maybe they can unlock him a little bit. Allen has been here a minute. It really hasn't happened for him in a meaningful way. Like you said, Ferguson was their first pick. They clearly liked him in a way to spend a second-round draft pick on him. So he's going to get opportunities, I think. It's just whether or not he can seize on those opportunities and push Higbee, because Higbee's an older player. He's been around a long time. He's put in a lot of snaps for the Rams and has had some health issues along the way. So I feel like there will be opportunities for whoever is behind him on the depth chart to kind of see some passes, see some opportunities, see some touchdown throws along the way. But, there is a little traffic on the road in front of him. But for all the reasons you mentioned, rookie, health, all that other stuff, I think he'll get a shot. He's just got to be ready when it comes.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Terrence Ferguson. The way that he worked out the combine, fastest 40 time, how productive he was at Oregon, played at a big program. I think when you look at his numbers at Oregon and just how much experience he does have, I think he's one of those guys where it's like wherever you were, you produced at a high level, middle school, high school, college. So it's like you get on the field and a game's a game. Yep. The ball starts coming your way. You're just going to see catch, first down. I mean, guys that there's those guys that have the raw talent, but not as many opportunities. And there's guys like Terrence Ferguson where it's like, hey, like I was featured in a very prolific way at Oregon, where I think if the measurables line up, he stays healthy. I think that like it's tough to be like a secret weapon as a second round pick. But I definitely think that they traded him. They drafted him to be a win now piece.
It's the one position they have not showcased at a super high level in this offense. We've seen super high level running back play in Todd Gurley. We've seen super high level wide receiver play in Nakua and Kupp, and even Woods and Brandon Cooks to a degree. We've seen high level quarterback play in Stafford and quite frankly in Jared Goff too, who's had some really big days in a Rams uniform. The one thing we have not seen, whether it's been Tyler Higbee or Gerald Everett or any of the other guys that have come through here, is where, hey man, the tight end is killing the opposition. We've had some games here or there, but they really haven't unlocked that spot. And again, going way back to when McVay came here from Washington, that was kind of his calling card, was being able to get tight ends going, and we just have not seen it here. But this is, they're not a first round pick, but their first pick in the second round they used on a tight end. That's exciting.
Totally. Absolutely. Well, coming up next on Locked On Backs, we're going to take a look at Larry Bird's back injury from 1985, hurting his back, groveling just asphalt in his mother's house. So we're going to talk about that next on Locked On Back now. But that's it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.